So in the last class, we discussed about the Linux script. And today we are going to start to learn about the Git. Okay. So today I will be going to show you the basics about Git, and then I will discuss how you can create your GitHub account. Okay. So from tomorrow we'll be starting with the practice. So anybody have any question from the previous topic, Linux or Linux scripting? Do you have any question to ask? Anything? No? Okay. So we'll going to understand the Git. So the name of the Git is either we say it as a software configuration management tool or we say it as a source code management tool. Okay. But why we say it as a software configuration or source code management tool? So you have to understand that whenever you are creating an application as a developer, developer are writing the code, they are creating an application. So it is not like that once you launch the application in the market, then your work is completed. No. Because once the application like Facebook or WhatsApp are launched in the market, so we see that after 13 days, 15 days, or after 20 days, new update of application always comes, right? That means there is some person still working on the project who are keep changing the code as per customer demand. Okay. If we are changing the code, then it doesn't like we'll remove our previous code, whatever the code we written in the previous release of our application, that will be deleted. No, we have to store all the version of it. Okay. That means if we are launching today version 1 of the application, so we'll be writing the code of the version 1 of the application. Now, after 15 or 20 days, when I am releasing the version 2 of the application, that doesn't mean I am going to delete the version 1 of the application code directly, because we don't know when I will launch the version 2 of the application in the market, whether it is going to work perfectly or not. Okay. Or take an example, we launch the version 2 and just after a few hours, we are getting so many complaints from the customers that your application is not running, new update is failing, something like this. Then in that case, what we have to do, we have to take the help of our previous code. We'll revert our application to our previous code. We'll neglect the new code, whatever. So we'll require some type of a tool which can manage this all version of the code. Okay. And for that purpose, the use case of Git comes in the picture. Okay. Now, and again, what is the source code? So when you are writing some application, okay, so that application will be written in some programming language, right? And that programming is whatever you done to create that application, that is known as the source code, because that is the source of your application. If that source code will be not there, your application is never going to be run. Okay, because your application is getting created with the help of that source code. Okay, and that's why we say it as a source code management tool also. Now, if you are designing a website similar to Flipkart or similar to Amazon, like shopping website, so there will be many developers will be working on it. It is not like a single person is working on the entire project. No, there will be multiple people. When multiple people are working on the same project, okay. So like whenever we are talking about the shopping website, what are the pages available in the shopping website? There will be login page, there will be payment page, there will be add to cart page, right? There will be notification page, help page. Like this, there will be many pages will be there in a shopping website, right? There will be manager will be assigning this work to each of the developer. That like one developer got the work to create the login page, other developer is working on the payment page, some developer is working on the cart page. Okay, and for them, this type of the task is assigned and they started to work. Once they started to work, so what they have to do is once their code will be completed. Okay, so there are 5 developers, take an example. So 5 developers are working on 5 different tasks. Like one is, if you'll see in this diagram, one is working on the login page, second is working on the payment page, third is working on add to cart page, fourth is working on search page, and fifth is working on the notification page. Now it is not like that the code written by the first developer will be published in the market separately. Second developer will be published in the market separately. No, because whenever we are going to Amazon website or Flipkart website, we are hitting a single URL, right? www.amazon.com. We are not hitting different URL for the login page. We are not hitting the different URL for the payment page. That means all these codes like login, payment, add to cart, search, notification, everything is merged in a single file. And that single file is the
Sir, good morning.
yeah. Sir.
Sir, I have one doubt. Actually, suppose the front end page for front end page working two developers. Suppose they are writing the code in the same file or separate files. Suppose separate files. If separate files, how can it would be updated in that server?
Separate file, like see, if you go with the React.js application or Angular application, what the front end people are using, okay. So for every pages we create the separate file only, right? We can't create a single file inside that all the code, because today in the real world now.
No, sir, I am asking. Suppose two developers are working for single page.
For single page, okay.
Yeah, for single page. Suppose the one developer is writing one code, and second developer is writing separate other code. For they are both are working for same page. They are maintaining separate files or same file.
Yeah. No. See, they will maintain separate file in their local computer. Okay, but when they will be pushing the code now on GitHub, so there will be a manager who will be doing the merge request, right? So he will take the code, he will match the code. Like, see, if somebody is working on the login, and as you are saying that there are two engineers working on login. Okay, so one will be working on some login side, one will be working on sign up side, right? Take an example, that scenario. But both are working in total in the login page only. So one person will be writing the code for login into application, other will be writing the code for the sign up for the application. Both the code will be merged together and they will be kept in a single file, because this consists of a single login page. That work of merging the code will be done by the manager or senior VP of the company, okay, who take care of yours, whatever. There will be a senior person, right, from the developer. Senior developer.
We can deploy by using Git.
No, you are not deploying by the Git. Git is basically a storage tool, right, where you are storing the code. It is not deploying for the deployment purpose also. You are just
from local repository to we push the code to the Git.
Central repository, yeah, central repository that is located in the Git. Yeah. Git treat it as a server, or basically a centralized server where every employee are storing their code. Okay.
After complete code from server to move the code from server to Git.
Local server to the Git.
Local server to Git. Okay. Central repository. This is central repository.
Yeah. GitHub is the central repository in our case. We'll be pushing all our code to the GitHub. GitHub, you can treat it as a Google Drive. Like in Google Drive, you are uploading the code, uploading the files, everything. Similarly, in the GitHub, you will be uploading the code. There will be nothing different. Okay. So now, once different employees are working on this project, right? So all the code should be kept inside a single file, because we have to create a single application, Amazon application or Flipkart application. We don't have to create 5 different applications. And I will say, this is the application for Amazon payment page. This is the application for Amazon login page. We don't do like this. There will be a single application. Inside that, all this functionality will be there. So there will be a person, you can say manager or VP of the company, who will be doing all this work. He will be asking from the employee one that your code is completed. If code is completed, then this employee one will be going to send this code to the manager, and manager will take that. Again, he will ask for the employee to, and like this way, he will be manually asking for all this person. So when he is manually asking, then it is not possible like all the login page, payment page, add to cart page, everything is going to be completed in like that 2 days or 3 days only. Maybe one developer is taking 5 days time, other developer is taking 10 days time, right? So to merge all this code, manager have to keep waiting that all the persons should upload the code, then only I will start the merging. Okay. And again, manually calling, manually asking for the code. It was such a hectic job for the managers. Okay. So for that purpose, everybody in the corporate, they started to think that we require some type of the tools, okay, which can manage this code. Like manager don't have to manually ask from the developers that can you send the code? Can you send the code? We don't want this type of the activity. Okay. So for that only source code management tools comes in the practice. Okay. Now, once the source code management tool comes in the market, there are basically two categories of this. Currently, whatever we are going to learn that comes under the distributed version control system. Okay. But previous to Git, there was already a tool in the market that was known as the centralized version control system. Okay. They were also helping us to do the source code management. But we have to understand why currently company are going towards the distributed version control system. What was the problem with the centralized version control system, right? These things we are going to understand. But before this, you have to understand example of centralized version control system. If somebody will ask you, you have to say that SVN tool. Okay. Distributed version control system example is Git. Okay, like this one. And here I written as previous, that was it was used previously. Okay, but now mostly company are using distributed. Now, if you try to see this image, okay, so this is the image for the centralized version control system, how it works. Okay. So the first thing you have to understand that this IND and US you are seeing, okay, so this you can treat it as a two employee. Okay, one employee is working from his personal computer, one that is from India, okay, and second employee is working from personal computer two that is in USA. Now two employees are working on the same project, okay, and as you asked, like one person asked now, right, that what will happen if one employee is working on the same project and other employee is also working on the same page, okay, and they are doing half of the work is done by employee one, half of work is done by the employee two. So how they will do the work? Okay? In that case, you have to understand this scenario. When Indian employee is working, okay, so Indian employee will be working in his their IST time. Okay, USA employee will be working in his USA time. Okay, now for the Indian employee, if it will be like he will be doing the job 9 to 6. Take an example. Once he will be logged out to from his office, okay, then after in India it will be 6 p.m. right? So he logged out from the system. But from for the US people, it will be morning 8 a.m., 9 a.m. like that. So that time he will be logging in the system, right? Once the Indian employee started to work, he completed 10 line of code or 15 line of the code on that day, right? And then he logged out from the system. Then when USA employee is coming, okay, he will be not starting the code from scratch because he know that definitely Indian employee will be working on that project and he definitely written some code. Okay. What USA employee can do is USA employee can call to the Indian employee or can give him the message or something. Okay. This Indian employee will share the code, whatever he completed with the help of the email or messaging site like that. Okay. But again, if you talk about daily, day to day, every day, is it good that we are Indian employees asking to the US employee, what is the work completed by you? US employees asking by the Indian employee, what is your works completed? Okay, so I can do the remaining work. So like this way, but manually when you are calling to each other, okay, it is not going to work. That's why there is some system we require, okay, in which Indian employee can directly also keep the code, USA employee can also directly keep the code, and we don't have to dependent on each other. Okay, so now in this centralized version control system, what was happening was rather than Indian employee and USA employee, rather than writing the code, okay, in their personal computer, what they are doing is they were connecting to a remote server. Okay, this remote server is located somewhere in your local server of your company. Okay, basically you can say that in our company we have a server room. So in that server room, there is a basically a storage is created. Okay, it is running on some machine that we say it as a repository. Okay, now when Indian employee will be writing the code, okay, he will be directly committing his code directly to the repository. Okay, and at the end of the day, he committed 15 lines of code. So he committed it in the repository that is running on the remote server. Now, USA employee, what he will do, rather than he will asking to the Indian employee, he will connect to this repository. Okay, and he will hit the command, can I update? Okay, so can I get the update? Once he will ask for the update, so whatever the code was pushed by the committed by the Indian employee, okay, that will be come to the USA person. Okay, he will be able to access it. So he saw that okay, 15 line of code is already completed by the. What he will do? He again started to write from the 16th line. He will go with more than 20, 25 lines. Again, he will write. Okay, and again he will do the commit. So now he also written 25 lines. Previously, 15 line was written. Okay, in total, around 40 lines is now completed. Okay. Now again the next day, Indian employee will not start the work from the 16th code. Okay, 16th line of code. He will again do update. So in total, 40 line of the code is available in the repository. So he will see that okay, 40 line of the code is already completed. So I have to continue the work from there. And then again he will be starting. Or maybe he found some error in the USA employee code. That also he can change and he can again commit it. So whenever next time USA employee will be login, he will be able to see, okay, that part is changed by the Indian employee because that was the error. So like this way, we have to understand. So this type of the setup was known as the centralized version control system. Then if you will try to understand this, that okay, Indian employee is committing the code to the repository, USA employee is updating the code from the repository, and after doing the changes in the code, again he is committing. Then it was well and good, right? Then why we require the Git, why we came basically changed our topic from the centralized version control system to the distributed version system if it was working perfectly fine. So you have to understand there are some demerit with the centralized version control system. The first drawback is it is working on some remote server. Remote server means this is a server machine where we are storing the code everything. And this server, if you want to connect, this Indian employee want to connect to this server, they have to use some network, okay? Either internet or some local network. Okay, you will require it. If you don't have the internet connectivity, if you don't have the network connectivity, you cannot connect to this remote server. And if you cannot connect to this remote server, then how you can do the commit operation of data operation? Similarly, US employee also requires some type of the internet connectivity or network connectivity connect to this remote server, okay, remote repository. In that case, what was happening was whenever we are writing code, whenever we are doing the commit, okay, every time we require the internet connectivity. And if somehow our internet connectivity goes down or we are facing the slow internet issue, okay, so what will happen? This commit operation or update operation will be very much slower. Okay. If it will become slower, then the working of the developers will be also slower because he will be not able to do commit, he will be not able to do update. So how he can write the code fastly, right? So that was the one of the drawback because we are totally dependent on the internet speed. If internet speed is slow, so our work speed of writing the code will be also slow. Second thing was that everything is running on the remote server. Okay, and all the codes are getting stored in this repository. Now, this is a machinery thing, right? Remote server is just a machine. If somehow this remote server fails, okay, like something wrong happens with this remote server is not working, then what will happen? This Indian employee and US employee will lose all the access to them. They cannot access the code because code was saved in the repository, not in their personal computer. If there is no remote server working, if it is failed, and take an example, they are saying, network engineers are saying, will require at least 12 hours, okay, to again make this remote server normal. So for the next 12 hours, Indian employee and USA employee will be sitting idle. They can't do anything because their code are totally written on the repository. Okay, and this repository is currently not accessible. So they will be just sitting. Okay, so that was the second problem in this setup. So that's what I written here. The first thing, it is not locally available. It is not available in the personal computer. That means you always have to be connected to a network or internet to perform any action. Second thing, since everything is centralized, that means it is getting stored in the repository. Okay. And if somehow that remote server or central server get failed, you lose the entire data. Everything will be losing. And that example of this centralized version tool was SBN tool. Okay, so these were the drawbacks of the centralized version control system. That's why we required some new setup. Okay, and for that, corporate people find a different solution. That is the distributed version control. Again, what is this? So if you again see the flow, so don't see like why these many things are there. Just try to focus. The first thing you have to understand that this Git is the example of the distributed version control system. It is created by the same person who created the Linux. Okay, Linus Torvald only. Linus Torvald created the Linux kernel in back in 1992, and he developed the Git in 2005. Okay, that you have to understand, and that's why if you want to learn Git, if you want to use Git, you require Linux kernel because Git is designed to work on the Linux. Okay, and that's why even if you want to run the Git on the Windows laptop, you have to download a separate software, okay, on top of the Linux kernel. Like they have the Git shell where you can install it and then only you will be able to run it on the Windows. Okay. So now if you try to see this image, what is the difference between this and this? So you'll see that one extra layer is basically the difference. Working space is here also, okay? Repository is here also. In the distributed also, if you try to see, working space is there, repository is there. One extra step is a local repo. Local repo was not available in our centralized version. What is the benefit of this local repo that we are going to do? Now, just think like this is the working space of the Indian employee, same example, and this working space is of the US employee. Okay. Now, working space is basically you can treat it as an Indian employee laptop. Okay, he's writing the code, everything in this world. This is the working space of the US employee. What working Indian employee will be doing? He'll be writing the code. Okay. Once he'll write the code, start to write the code. Okay, he have to commit the code to the local repo. He will be not committing the code directly to the repository. Okay. And where is this local repository located? Local repository is located in your personal laptop. That means Indian employee will have their own local repository. USA employee will have their own local repository. Okay, like if there are 10 employees are working in a company, all the 10% will have their own local repository in their own personal laptop. That means whenever I'm writing the code, okay, I will be committing it to my personal local repo. I will be not committing it directly to the repository. So what will be the benefit for this? Benefit for is this, that if you are accessing some data directly from your laptop, okay, like if I want to play some videos, if I want to play some files, okay, from my personal laptop, if I want to open this, basically this file, do you think I require internet? No, because this file is locally present in my laptop. So why I will require internet? Similarly, I already downloaded 10 to 15 videos in my laptop, so I can play that videos and I will not require any internet connectivity. Okay. Same thing here, whenever the Indian employee is working, okay, they are committing the code to the local repo. And when they are committing the code to the local repo, so they are doing it locally. If they are doing it locally, that means they don't require any internet connectivity. Okay. And once they kept their all 15 lines and 20 lines of code in the local repository, and now he want to log out from his system. Okay. So currently the code is present in his local repository. So before leaving for that day, what he will do is he will do the git push command. What the push command will do? Currently the code is saved locally in his local repository. Okay, so whenever he will hit the command git push, then from this local repository, code will be uploaded to the remote repository. Okay, this is the repository. Now what will happen whenever you are doing the git push command, your code getting copied from the local repo and it is getting pushed to the repository. And this time you will require the internet. Okay, doing update, quick commit to the local repo, you don't require internet. But whenever you want to do the push operation, like you are okay that now my code is committed to the local repo, now I can push the code to our central repository, that is GitHub in our case. Okay, so yeah, anybody want to say something?
Sir, local repository means actually
Your sound is breaking.
it is local. The people.
Local repository is basically a local folder present in your personal laptop. Okay, where you will be storing all the.
Not a private service.
Yeah, this is a private for every employee. It will be the private. It will be located in your personal laptop. Nobody can access.
Okay. Okay. Some organizations are maintaining small servers for backup or for maintaining that local servers. I'm thinking like that.
No, it is not like that. It is basically a local copy you are doing. Like I keep see, this is a file DevOps updated syllabus, right? This I uploaded it on the Google Drive also, right? You can also access it. But when you will be accessing it from the Google Drive, okay, you will be requiring internet. But I can open this file directly from my laptop without basically using internet. Why? Because this is saved locally in my case. And even once you download that full file from the Google Drive, even you can access it locally. So that is the meaning of local. Okay, that means you are you can access it because it is present locally on your machine. You don't have to use any internet, you don't have to use network services, anything for access. But whenever you will be doing the push operation, okay, to the repository, that means GitHub, like I want to upload this file, this XYZ file to our GitHub repository or Google Drive. Okay. So that time I will require internet. But if I want to use this file, I will not require internet. But I want to upload this file to Google Drive, then I will require internet. That is the exact same. If your code is written in the local repo and you want to move this code from local repo to the repository, what you will be doing, you will be doing the push operation, and that time you will require internet. Okay. Once your code is pushed to the repository, you have
That
any question?
repository is in AWS server.
Not AWS server. We are talking about GitHub, right? GitHub is the repository.
Okay. That is also saving in that local server.
See, local server, you have to understand, I am talking about local repo, right? Local repo is basically a folder. Locally, a folder is available.
No, I am asking whenever we push the code into the repository, where
it is stored in the GitHub. GitHub is exact equal to Google Drive. I said you, right? Whenever you are uploading some file to the Google Drive, where it is getting saved. No. Okay. So just focus on the flow. Once I will be pushing the code to the GitHub, that time you will be able to understand this. So don't worry. So now once the code is present in the repository is basically here GitHub. Okay, we'll be creating the account on the GitHub. Okay, I will show you how you can create your account on the GitHub. Now this GitHub access will be provided to this USA employee also, to me also. My manager will also have access of this GitHub account. Okay. So now next day, when this USA employee will require the code, okay, what he will do? He will be asking from the repository. Okay. So what he will do? He will do the git pull command. When he will do the git pull command, so whatever the code is pushed yesterday by the Mumbai employee or Indian employee, so that code is going to be stored in the local repository of AWS Tutorials. Okay. And once this exact copy of the code is copied in the local repository available in USA employee laptop, then from here, USA employee again do the changes in the code and he will do all the operation, everything low. And again, he written 10 to 15 more lines. Now again, he want to log on. Again, he will do the same thing. He will do the git push command. So again, he will require internet whenever he will do the push operation. Basically, push operation is just like upload. Pull operation is just like download. Okay. Whenever you are doing uploading any file, downloading any file, then only you will require internet. For other purpose, you never going to require internet. Like if I want to open some files present in my local system, I will not require internet. But if I want to download something or if I want to upload some file to the internet, then I will require all that. Okay, so that is the same thing. Whenever you are doing push and pull, okay, you will require internet. Whenever you are doing update, commit, everything is going to happen in the loop. You don't have to worry. And that's why our main problem is solved. Our main problem was in the centralized version control system that it is totally dependent on the internet. That means if Indian employee want to commit any code, he will require internet. Then only code will be committed. But now we can commit directly to our local repository, means locally, a folder that is available in our personal laptop. So we don't require the internet for this. Okay. And one problem is solved. Second problem was that if somehow this remote server shut down, okay, like this remote server not working, then this all person will lose the access of code. So for that purpose, if you'll see in the centralized version distributed one, what we have the solution, if somehow this GitHub fails, that this repository is not accessible or something, whatever the code we worked yesterday, okay, that is locally saved in our local repository. That means we have a local. So if somehow this file is deleted or this file is not working for few hours, okay, so or even take an example, our internet is not working for next 5 hours, okay, so I cannot connect to the repository. What I can do, I cannot do the push and pull operation because that is dependent on the internet. But all other operation like committing the code, updating the file, okay, adding some more lines, that we can do because our code was already present in the local repo. So we have a local copy of that file. And that's why this distributed version control system gives up a upper hand from a centralized version control. That's what I written here. Like in distributed version control system, every contributor has a local copy. We are talking about contributor. Contributor is just the employee who are writing the code or developers who are writing. They have a local copy or the clone of the main repository. Okay, because everybody is copying the code first in the local repo, then only they are pushing it to the centralized repository like GitHub. Because everybody have their local copy, so they can use it. Even in our some failure case where we are not able to access our GitHub repository, we still have the files. And Git is basically help us to maintain the version of code. Like if there is a 10 lines of the code written, okay, and we are doing some changes, like one of the line I changed. Okay, so what Git will do, Git will store the new code also with the new changes, and they will store the previous code also. And that's what we say it that Git maintains the version of the code also. Now, if you will see the quickly the differentiation between what is the difference between the centralized version control system and distributed version control system, because in interview sometimes company interviewer asks you that do you know about what is centralized version control system, what is distributed one, what are the key differences between this. Okay, so in that case you can give these answers. Like in the centralized version control system we already discussed, client, if the client want to do some changes in the code, okay, they have to do it directly from the server because they don't have the local copy. They will always require internet. Second, in the distributed side, each client have their local repository. That means they have the local copy available in their personal laptop. So they don't require internet to do commit update operation. Okay. And only they will require internet when they have to either push the code or they have to pull the code. Second thing, in CBCS, only 2 to 3 commands are there, like commit, update. Okay. And that's why it is easy to learn because we don't require that much setup. But in distributed version control system, they give us extra functionality, okay, because they are giving you the functionality to store the code locally also, to store the code in centralized repository also. Okay, so in that case, what happens? There are multiple commands here. So in starting, if some beginners is starting with this Git tools, they have to spend some extra time to learn all the Git commands, everything. And that's a little bit it is complex. But again, company are using it Git because this is providing us extra functionality. And in this centralized version control system, I said you that if there will be no internet, that is offline. Okay, so it cannot access. Okay, so you cannot access centralized version control system being offline. But even you can, if you are no internet is there in case of the distributed one, still you can work. Why? Because your code is saved in the local repository also. And in the distributed centralized version control system, again, it is slower. Why it is slower? Because everything is dependent on the internet. Like it totally depends. Whenever you are doing changes in the code, you are updating some file, it is depending on the speed of your internet. If your internet is slower, it will be act as slower. But in our distributed version control system, what happens? It is faster because everything we are saving it locally. And from local, whenever we'll require the internet, that time, like from the local, if you want to push to the GitHub, that time only you'll require the internet just for few seconds. That's all. So it is same thing like if I am playing some video from the YouTube channel, okay, and I am playing some video that is already saved in my the local laptop. So which will be faster? Definitely the video which is saved locally in my personal laptop. Because if I am playing some video from the YouTube, it is totally dependent on the internet speed. If my internet speed will slow, that video will start buffering. But in our video which are saved already in my personal laptop, they will be not going to do buffer or anything because that video is already downloaded, so they can run smoothly. Okay, so that is the difference between centralized and distributed one. Now you have to understand that how Git is going to work in a machine. Okay, so whenever we'll be first, what we'll be doing, we'll be creating a Linux EC2 instance. Okay, as we already created it. Okay, inside that EC2 instance, you'll be creating a directory. Okay, and anybody remember what are the commands to create the directory? Can anybody tell me? You can type it in chat. What was the command to create a directory? Like if I want to create a directory with the name directory one, yeah, mkdir. That's so mkdir was the command that we were using to create a directory. Now, once you've created the directory, okay, so how you will tell to the Linux that Linux don't treat this directory as a normal directory. I want to make this directory as a Git directory because I want to do all the installation of code, everything inside this directory. So how Linux is going to know that this is not a normal directory, this is a directory for the Git. What you have to do is whenever you will be creating a directory using mkdir command, okay, like let me show you. Like you created a directory with the name mkdir directory one. Now you have to tell that Linux, I have a directory with the name directory one. Okay, this is a directory one. This is a normal directory where you can store files or something. So normal directory don't store the version of the code. Why I'm saying so? Because normal directory, if we have a file a.txt, okay, let's take an example. This is a directory. Inside that I created a file a.txt. In this, I written 5 lines of code or 5 lines I written something, okay, using cat command or something. Once I written that, now again I updated a.txt file. And in this time I written 10 lines. Previous 5 line I deleted and I kept the new 10 lines here. So do you think that previous 5 line I can get it anyhow? No, because this previous 5 line is already will be overwritten and this new 10 lines will be saved. And this is the issue with the normal directory. But whenever we are working on the Git project or whenever we are working on a big software project, so what we have to do, if we are changing the code, okay, so we require the previous code also. Like if sometimes anything wrong happens, this code is not working. So we should require the help of the previous code. And that time we have to access it. So we cannot delete all these things. We have to maintain the version. So for that, we'll create a directory with the name directory one. But rather than making it as a normal directory, what we'll do, we'll go inside this directory, cd directory one, okay, and then we'll hit a command git. Can you init it? Init means git. Can you initialize this directory as a git directory? So now this directory from the normal directory, it will become the git directory. And once it becomes a Git directory, then Linux will automatically able to understand, okay, this is a directory that I have to treat as a Git directory, not as a normal directory. And if they will start treat it as a Git directory, so what they will do in the background, they will divide that directory in 3 partitions. Okay, you will be not able to see like after if you're seeing that in your Linux laptop screen, you'll see that this is a normal directory only. Okay, but in the background, what happens? They divide that normal directory in the 3 parts. Okay, one part will be the working space. Other part is the staging area. Third part is the local repo. Okay. So now, whenever we are creating a directory as a Git directory, what is happening inside this directory? There is a working space is getting created. After working space, there is a staging area is getting created. And after this, local repo that we talked about, that local repository. So they created 3 partitions, okay, 3 partitions inside same directory. Okay. Now, what are the uses of this partition? So if we talk about the working space, take an example. What working space will do? If I am writing some code, okay, like I am creating a file a.java. Okay, in this I am writing Java code. So when I am writing this code will be located in the working space. That's why it is known as workspace. If you are editing some file, okay, editing some file, that will be stored in the workspace. Now, once my work is completed, I already completed the code and I know that my a.java file is completed now. Now, what I will do if my code writing of code is completed, I have to move this code to the staging area. Okay, and this is the flow. You cannot jump directly from the working space to the local repo. You have to move your code from working space to a staging area and from the staging area to the local repo. Okay. So once we done this, we added this file everything. So I will say git, can you add a.java file? Okay, a.java file, a.java file. Okay, just I will hit this command and what will happen? Whenever you will hit git add a.java, they will move this a.java file from this working space to the staging area. Now, in the staging area, let me write it, make it bigger. So when we hit the command git add a.java, so in this staging area, now a.java file is located. Okay. Now in this a.java file, you cannot edit. Okay, cannot edit. It is something you can say like it is freeze. Okay, this file is freezed. Now no further changes can happen. Okay, because this file is present in the staging area. If you want to do changes in your file, you have to keep your file in the working space. But once you move your file from a.java, okay, that is the file we are editing. Then once you hit the command git add a.java, so this file is moved to the staging area. Now you cannot edit it. This file is freezed. Once this file is freezed and it is came in the staging area, then you have to move this file to the local repository. That means I have to save it locally. For that, what you have to do, you have to say git, can you commit this file using some message? Okay, like what is the message that I will write? Like I created a.java file. So I will write a message created a.java. So if some other manager will be working, they will understand, okay, that Indian employee created a.java file. Okay, so they will got this message. -m is equal to message. When you hit this command, git commit, so what will happen? Your a.java file will be located in this local repo. A.java file will present here now. And once this file comes here, okay, and it's saved in the local repo, that means you have a local copy of this file. Okay. And from here, what you have to do? Once the file is present in the local repo, if you remember, we are following this approach. We started with the working space. From working space, we moved to our file to the staging area. From the staging area, we moved our file to the local repo. Now, once the file is committed to the local repo, okay, so I want to save this file to the repository also, that is GitHub repository. That time I will be doing the git push command. Okay, see, once the file present here comes in the local repo, I'm doing the push command. Okay, and this arrow is targeting you to this GitHub. GitHub, you can treat it as a centralized storage service. Okay, so whatever the file I created here that I stored in the local repo, that is moved to the GitHub. Okay, once this file is moved to the GitHub, okay, so everybody can access it. USA employee can also access it. Manager also can access it. Now, next day, whenever USA employee will come to the office, what he will do? He will do the pull operation. That means whatever the file is present in this GitHub repository, can you download it? So I will pull this repo and you will see that a.java file, whatever I created, okay, and whatever I pushed to this GitHub, that file will be located in the working space of the US employee. Now again, he will do some changes. He will add one more extra file. He will add some lines. Okay, and again, he will do the same thing. He will do the git add command. So this file will be moved to the staging area, basically at the updated file. Then again, he will do git commit. So this file will be moved to the local repository. And once the file moved to the local repository, then again, he will do the git push command. So again, the updated code saved to the GitHub. And the next day, again, this Mumbai employee will be doing the pull operation. Okay. And again, this updated code will be saved in the working space, and this cycle will be, okay. And this is known as the Git. See, in this cycle, what are the commands which are important? If you try to understand, the first command we are talking here is git init. Okay, that is the one time command. Okay. And what is this command is doing? This command is helping you to initialize a normal directory to the Git directory. Git directory is initialized. So this is the use of the git edit. Now, once we hit the git edit, so three partition is getting created. Okay, first is the workspace, second is the staging area, third is the local room. Once this three partition is created, what we are doing now? Once you are creating a file, something like e.java, this file will be created in the workspace. Okay. So now our next step will move this file to the staging area. So for this, I will hit the command git add e.java. So now this file moved to the staging area. Once this file moved to the staging area, then I have to move this file to the local repo. For this, I have to hit the command git commit. And then I have to give some message XYZ. Okay. Then this file will be moved to the local repo. Once this file moved to the local repo, then what we have to do? We have to do the command git push. Now what will happen? Whatever the code I kept in the local repo, that is the a.java file, that will be moved to the GitHub. Okay, GitHub is a centralized storage system. Okay, you can say just a storage system. Okay, and our code is now present in the GitHub. Now, next day, what USA employee will be doing? He will be doing the git pull. Git pull will basically take all the codes from the GitHub and keep it in the working space, okay, of the US employee. Now, US employee will again do some changes in the code. He will add some line. Then again, he will do the same thing. Git add. Okay. So it will move to the staging area. Then again, git commit. It will move to the local repo. And again, they will do the git push. So again, the code will come to the git. This cycle will be keep continuing. How they are working every day basis. So is this cycle clear to you? Working space, staging area, local repo. Have any question, anything? Is this cycle clear to you? Working space, staging area, local repo, to all of you. Can you put in chat? Are you there? So just give yes or no, right? Like whether it is clear to you working space staging area, local repo or not. What about others? See, if somebody have doubt still, then you can ask me. If you'll not type, then how will be able to get it? Okay. But see, you have to tell me at least, right? Because see, if you are not speaking, then what I can understand, I will directly explain and I will go ahead. But if sometimes you will be having the issue, because see, in the interview, this type of the question, like what is the working space, what is the staging area, what is the local repo, there will be a huge discussion in your interview. Okay, that time if you are not able to understand what is the difference between a staging area and working space, you'll be not able to get it. Okay. Because see, in what interview, it is not like all about project. Okay, you are discussing the project that I work on the project, I work on the GitHub on my project. Then if they will ask you just the basic of the GitHub, okay, and if you are not able to explain, then they will not think like you actually worked on that project, right? So theory part is also important as much as your practical knowledge is. If somebody is telling you that only practical knowledge is important, there is no theory, so sorry, you cannot clear the interview. Okay, if you will sit for the interview, there are many interviewers who just ask for the theory question. If you just said them that I worked on this project, and in this project I used GitHub as a source code management. Now they will just asking you about the commands, about the Git. Just you said that I know the commands, and they said you that can you say 3 to 4 commands of the Git? So you said like, okay, there is a command called git add. Then you said there is a command called git commit. Then you said there is a command called git push. So when you are saying this command, so they will quickly ask you, okay, what is the use of the git commit? That time you have to say our code is present in the staging area. If we want to move our code from the staging area to the local repo, we have to use the command git commit. Okay. That time you cannot say that we use the commit just to commit the code. That's all. No, you have to tell the basics how it is getting involved, and that's why understanding this point is important. So I will upload this document anyhow, so you can go through it also. Okay. So this is just a definition what we talked about: working space where we write the code, a staging area, basically the location where we freeze the file, where no further edit can be possible. And once we will hit the command git commit, then our code will be moved from the staging area to the local area. So this is the flow. Now I will quickly show you how to create the GitHub account. So everybody can create the GitHub account by tomorrow. Okay. So I already uploaded the document. If you go in the lab section, you'll see this document, Git and GitHub lab. Okay. Just open this document. In this document, if you come here, just go to this page number. And here I talked about how you can create the GitHub account. The first you have to open a website. So let me show you quickly. Just search for the github.com. Okay. Once you go to the github.com, you are getting the option called sign up. Just click on this. Now they are welcoming you. Then you have to give your email. Okay. And once you write the email, then you have to follow this exact document, whatever I given you here. Yeah. So this is the email here. You'll be writing the email. Then they will ask you the password. Okay. So choose your password. Then they will choose you a username. Username should be unique. Okay. So give your username. Then they will ask you again to whether press Y or N. If you will press Y here, then you will get some uh, marketing related messages on your email. Okay. If you don't want, just press N here. Okay. Then they will ask you to solve a puzzle. That puzzle you have to solve. Okay. And then they will send you a code, okay, on your registered email. That code you have to enter and your account will be created. Here they will be asking also that how many team members will be working with you. Are you a student or teacher? So just select as it is, just me, and keep it as a student. Okay, don't do any other number or something. Just me and a student. Once you will do this, then just click on continue and continue for free. There are two options. Okay. One is for apply for GitHub student benefits. Another is continue for free. Please continue for free. And once you click on continue for free, if you are able to see this, if you are able to see this screen, and if you are clicking on this blue dot, okay, here, and you are able to see that your username is visible here, that means your account is created. Okay. So up to this step only you have. Okay. Other things I will tell you how to do it. So by tomorrow, just create the GitHub account. Okay. Just follow this document. This document is already uploaded in the Google Drive. Okay. So are you able to create everybody GitHub account by tomorrow? Can I get this confirmation at least in the chat? Yeah, I got one confirmation. What about others? It is not chargeable. You will just take around 5 minutes time. Okay, and you will be able to create the GitHub account. Once GitHub will be created, then only you can do the practical from tomorrow. Okay. So GitHub account is necessary. So that's why I'm saying you everybody try to create it by tomorrow. Okay. This document is already there. So you can take it again. Let me show you where is that document. See, in this folder, you have to go to the lab. Okay, in the lab, you have to see. Okay, so this is the thing. Just you have to understand. Okay, this is the Git and GitHub lab. In that page number 8 to 9, okay, that is there where I talk about how to create the GitHub. So you have to come down from this 5th page. Somebody is writing on the screen. I think annotation is removed. So yeah, so you have to do it. Okay. Yeah, that's all from my side for today. Please create your GitHub account. Okay. Thanks all of you.